What is going on, OG55 fam? Today we are talking Super Nintendo World over at Universal Hollywood. There have been some updates in regards to that whole project. We're going to talk about it, analyze it, break it down up next on OG55. What is going on, OG fam? Today we're talking about Super Nintendo World. Our good friend, Mr. Theme Park Wizard, is always making fantastic Universal content. And he was actually on the ground at Universal Hollywood recently and got some of this footage, which is very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. As you can see off in the distance between the Bowser Castle on the left and the rock work on the right, there are these kind of ugly vinyl overhangs. Now, look, Universal has a tendency to kind of do this, right? They you'll notice this with a lot of Universal projects. They'll get like 98% there, and then they'll crap all over their own work. Okay, this is another example of that. Okay, Nintendo World, the land itself looks beautiful, gorgeous, absolutely amazing. And then they put these kind of real world vinyl coverings smack dab right in the middle of everything. Okay, kind of taking away from the whole immersion, from the whole energy and the vibe. They are hideous, in my opinion. Now, look, you might love these vinyl coverings. You might think they are fantastic. You might think they look great. I personally don't. I know Theme Park Wizard, he's a huge Universal fan. He went to Twitter and he was like really disappointed in how these looked. He was kind of hoping they're temporary. Unfortunately, Wizard, and to fans that think they're temporary, I don't think they're temporary at all. I don't think they're temporary at all. These are not the kind of overhangs you put in for a temporary fix. For example, during construction, right? Like, just to kind of shield maybe construction workers from the heat. You would know if they were temporary, okay? Like Californians, you remember during the pandemic when we couldn't eat inside in restaurants and we had those really temporary looking vinyl tents out in the parking lot that these restaurants would put us all in to eat because it was technically outside. That's temporary. You would see little mini, maybe vinyl tents to shield workers from the heat. Or if you're, a lot of the vinyl tents and overhangs you see like street vendors use, and like even like companies like T-Mobile, if they're on location trying to get you to sign up for their for a mobile plan, you'll see them out front with like those vinyl tent overhangs, very temporary looking kind of setups. Okay, that's what you would see here if it was just for construction workers. That's not what this is. This is very permanent stuff. We've seen vinyl overhangs like this at Disney, and we've even seen them in other areas of this land. Look, this is from Wizard's video. The extended queue has the same vinyl overhangs over the extended queue, except this time they're blue. This time they're blue. Okay, it's very clear this was an aesthetic choice Universal made. Okay, they've installed them in the extended queue. Now they've installed them in the actual land. These are permanent, you guys. These are absolutely permanent. These are not going anywhere. Okay, now to top it off, to kind of put a little bow on it, right? We can go over to Disney. And this is from DCA. Okay, you can see right under the signage, the same kind of vinyl overhangs. Those yellow things you see stretched across are the same vinyl overhangs you're seeing over at Super Nintendo World. They are 100% permanent. These are permanent overhangs. They're permanent structures. Okay, Disney is currently using them in a permanent way. Universal is going to be using them in a permanent way over at Nintendo World. So yeah, unfortunately, these are not going anywhere, and they are absolutely hideous. Now, I made a tweet recently, okay, And this is really funny. This is very funny because, anytime you criticize Universal, since Universal's like the underdog, as fandom, it's like, I guess it's not polite to criticize Universal because they're number two. So we have to kind of coddle them and make sure their fifis don't get hurt or something. I don't know. But I made a tweet the other day. Let's see here. And I actually blocked out the response, the person who made the response, because actually the person who made the response, I actually really like this person. So I'm not trying to call them out specifically or anything, but this tweet was like, come on. So my original tweet, as you can see down below, says, they seem permanent, to be honest. Very jarring, such an eyesore. There are a million ways to provide shade that doesn't take you out of the Nintendo theming. Bad show, Universal. Well, apparently that was not a good call on my part. I dared to criticize a Universal project, which, everyone comes out to Universal's defense anytime you do that. But this person, who I do actually really like, and that's why I blocked them out with the cute little sushis, says here, because there was never anything at Disney that looked awful. We will revisit this when the tarps come down. Yeah, no, first of all, we won't revisit this when the tarps come down because the tarps are not coming down. They are very permanent. I've showed multiple examples of why that's the case. Number one. Number two, what does Disney have to do with this? What does Disney have to do with this? So when Universal shits the bed, when Universal craps all over its own projects like this, somehow it's justified because Disney did something equally as terrible or equally as unsightly. I don't understand. What is this? What do they call that? What is that? Whataboutism? What's all this whataboutism? Disney has nothing to do with this. Okay. Look, you're not going to walk into Super Nintendo World with signage like this. Pardon the cheap, ugly looking tarps, but just remember, Disney has ugly stuff too. Enjoy your day, Universal Studios Hollywood. You're not going to see this. Like, it's ridiculous. Who cares what Disney is doing? It's ugly. The tarps are ugly. It's ugly. Stop making excuses and having this mental gymnastics to justify an excuse and apologize for Universal. When you walk into Super Nintendo World, you're going to be met with this amazingly immersive, really well done land. And they really kind of destroy a little bit of that with these ugly tarps. That's just a reality. And it doesn't matter if Disney did something equally as terrible and equally as ugly over at Paradise Pier or Pixar Pier or wherever. That's irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. And here's the other thing. Mice Chat, they released a little bit of information the other day about Universal Creative and about how a lot of the Universal Creative executives and what have you are kind of grumbling at a lot of these like conventions about how Epic Universe is getting less and less and less epic as time goes on. Now, Mice Chat did not get into detail as to what they mean by that. But when that was kind of going around on Twitter, a lot of like Universal fans were like really stepping up to like defend Universal and say like, oh, well, we have all the building permits and we can see from the air all the buildings that Universal planned for Epic Universe are getting built. So that rumor from Mice Chat must be false. They're not cutting anything because the buildings they promised are the buildings we're getting. And I said it in a video, and I said it on Twitter. It doesn't matter if they're building all the buildings they promised. It doesn't matter if every building, you can account for every building and every nook and cranny from the artwork, from up in the air, from hundreds of feet. That doesn't matter. There are a million and one ways you can cut a project. There are a million and one ways you can crap the bed and really take away from a project. And we're seeing that. We're absolutely seeing that in real time with Super Nintendo World by installing these god ugly vinyl overhangs. Technically, right? Technically, Universal didn't make any cuts. The land is being built per all the permits. The buildings are all there, that all the buildings are there that are promised. No, yeah, they are. But guess what? They're cost cutting in these areas like the shade coverings and what have you that take away from that experience. And that's exactly what I was talking about with Epic Universe. You can build all the buildings as promised, but you can cost cut in areas like this, which take away from the experience, which take away from the immersiveness, which take away from the impressiveness of this park. This is one example of how you can build what is promised and still chip away at the magic, so to speak. Exactly what I was saying when that mice age rumor came out just a couple of weeks ago. Exactly. And this is a perfect example of that. And look, I don't know. I'm not a huge Universal guy. The epic universe we get might be mind blowing, game changing, yada, yada, yada. Okay. I'm just going back based on that mice chat rumor and all the people, all the Universal fans that were discounting that rumor because all the buildings that we were promised are being built. I'm just trying to show you how that doesn't really matter at the end of the day because you can build all the buildings and still crap the bed. Okay. That's all I'm saying. So, but yeah, but Disney does ugly stuff too. So I guess we should give Universal a pass or something. I don't know. Anyway, subscribe to Mr. Theme Park Wizard. He is friend of the channel and he is a great content creator. He loves Universal, but he's very honest with his views on Universal, which I really do respect him for. He doesn't shill for them at all. He's over the moon when he's excited about something, but he'll be honest with you, like with this tarp situation and everything. He'll say, look, this is not good, Universal. You know, this is not good. So check him out for sure. But what do you guys think about these tarps? Do you think they're ugly? Like I think they are. I mean, I think they take away a lot actually from the overall ambience of the land. Or do you think they're just fine? Or do you think they're temporary? Look, I made the case that they're not temporary. Okay, these are permanent vinyl overhangs. But if you think they're temporary, hey, comment down below. Make the case. I'm open to hearing about it. You know. Also, do you agree or disagree with me in that, you know, with Epic Universe, you can create and build all the buildings as promised per every permit, but you can crap the bed in other areas like this vinyl covering and things like that, which cheapen the area, right? Which cheapen these lands and possibly whole theme park. Do you agree with me on that? Do you disagree with me on that? I would love to hear from you. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye, everybody.